Competing today from North York and Toronto, Robert Goldstein, Daniel Simon, Franklin Young, Neil Wolfish, and their coach, Bob McMinn, representing York Mills Collegiate. Today they'll meet Rachel Barney, John Duffy, Jeff Nankable, Eugene Siklos, and their coach, David Lawrenson, representing university schools in the regional semifinals of Reach for the Top. Reach for the Top is presented by the CBC to provide for students an opportunity to show their knowledge and powers of quick recall, competing for the CBC trophy, and the opportunity to be our representatives at the national finals. Now, here's your quiz Ms. Jan Tennant.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reach for the Top. This is our second semifinal game in this special one-hour presentation. York Mills are defending champions, and this year they defeated A.Y. Jackson, George S. Henry, and Nelson High School. UTS, always a strong team, defeated De La Salle, North Toronto, and Arundel. The winner tonight goes on to play Westdale from Hamilton, and that's next week for the regional championship. Our judge is Bob Curries. Bob is a professor of mathematics at Ryerson Polytechnical Institute in Toronto, and his decision is final. Well, good luck, teams. This is, of course, just a game. We have a 40-point history question to begin this semifinal game. It happened 42 years ago on April 30th, 1939. In the United States, television was introduced as a regular service. Which network was involved? Eugene Siklos, UTS?
NBC.
NBC was right for 10 points. In what U.S. city was the first Franklin Young York Mills?
Schenectady.
No, was the first telecast presented. John Duffy, UTS?
New York City.
New York City, that is right for 10 points. 8 years earlier, in 1931, NBC began experimenting with the new medium, sending its signal from a transmitter at the top of a famous tall building. Robert Goldstein, York Mills?
The Empire State Building.
The Empire State Building, that's right for 10 points. Then, in 1939, the personalities began to appear before the cameras. One of them became the first president to be seen, Franklin Young York Mills?
Franklin Roosevelt.
Right for 10 points. A four-part question now on ships. In 1838, a 700-ton sidewheeler became the first ship to cross the Atlantic Ocean under steam power alone. What was the name of this ship? John Duffy, UTS?
Great Western.
No. York Mills? It was Sirius. A few hours after the arrival of the Sirius, a 1,440-ton steamer completed its first transatlantic trip. Name that ship. John Duffy, UTS?
Britannia.
No. York Mills? It was the Great Western. In 1954, the United States launched a submarine, which was the world's first. Eugene Siklos, UTS?
Polaris.
No. The first nuclear-powered ship. Robert Goldstein, York Mills?
The Nautilus.
The Nautilus. That is right for 10 points. 5 years later, the United States launched the first nuclear-powered merchant. John Duffy, UTS?
Savannah.
Savannah, that is right. Merchant ship named after a city in Georgia. We have a team question now. It's worth 35 points. Here's the scramble for 5 points. Which French heroine was born in the village of Domremy on Daniel Simon, York Mills?
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc, right for 5 points. You may consult York Mills on part 2. These remaining questions refer to Joan of Arc. At the age of 17, it is said that Joan saw visions from heaven, which led her to believe that she had been chosen to liberate France from the English. In order to do this, she had to obtain an audience with the Dauphin. Name this king of France, brought by Joan to be crowned in Reims or Reims in 1429. Well, it was Charles VII. Charles was convinced by Joan and in turn gave her command of the troops. With these troops, she managed to liberate a French city in early May 1429. What is the name of this city located on the Loire River? Daniel?
Orléans.
Orléans is right for 10 points. After the success at Orléans, the king persuaded her to attempt to liberate Paris. This attack failed and she was captured by the English and subsequently burned as a heretic. In what year did Joan meet her end? Franklin?
1453.
1431, May 30th. No points for you there. Open now to both teams, a 5-part music question. I will name the song, and you give me the movie in which the Academy Award-winning song was featured. The first one is Evergreen, Franklin Young, York Mills.
A Star is Born.
Right for 10 points. The next one, We May Never Love Like This Again, Franklin Young, York Mills.
Towering Inferno.
Right for 10 points, yes. The next one, For All We Know, Franklin Young, York Mills. No. UTS, Lovers and Other Strangers. The last, second one, no, second from last. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, Franklin Young, York Mills.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Right for 10 points. And the last one, The Windmills of Your Mind. John Duffy, UTS?
Sound of Music?
No. Franklin Young, York Mills?
Man of La Mancha.
No, The Thomas Crown Affair. What year am I? What year am I is our question now, worth 40 points if you get it on the first clue. It diminishes by 10 with each additional clue. You might want to write down the years that have been eliminated if we eliminate any. 40 points for clue number 1. In this year, many African countries became independent. Jeff Nankerville, UTS?
1960?
1960 is right for 40 points, yes. There you are. Saved me a lot of reading. 40 points on Canadian disasters now for 10 points. 118 died on September 17th, 1949, when the Noronic burned. Eugene Siklos, UTS?
Toronto Harbour.
That was right, in Toronto Harbour. For 10 points, on October 23rd of which year did 74 miners die in an explosion at Eugene Siklos, UTS?
1957.
No, at Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. Franklin Young, York Mills?
1955.
No, 1958, October 23rd. On July 5th of what year did an Air Canada DC-8 crash Eugene Siklos, UTS?
1970.
1970 is right. That's right, killing 109 people. And the last one, in what year was the Canadian liner Lady Hawkins torpedoed and sunk near Bermuda? John Duffy, UTS?
1941?
No. Robert Goldstein, York Mills?
1942.
1942 is right, January the 19th. Our list question is next. It's worth a possible 70 points. Of the first 103 elements listed in the periodic table, only 14 are abbreviated Daniel Simon, York Mills.
Magnesium.
No. I will complete it for UTS. Are abbreviated by a single letter. In any order, list as many of these elements as you can. Eugene Siklos.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen is right for 5.
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen is right for 5.
Oxygen.
Oxygen right for another 5.
Fluorine.
Right for 5.
Iodine.
Iodine is right.
Xenon.
No. All right. 25 points for you, Eugene, on those. The others are carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, tungsten, uranium, potassium, boron, vanadium, and yttrium. All right. We'll continue now with 30 points on trigonometry. What is the value of sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta? Eugene Siklos, UTS?
1.
1 is right for 10 points. In terms of a cosine value, what does 2 cosine squared theta minus Eugene Siklos, UTS?
Cos 2 theta.
Cosine 2 theta is right for 10 points, yes. And the last one, what is the value of cotangent of 135 degrees? Eugene Siklos, UTS?
-1.
-1 is right for 10 points, yes. Good for you. All right, open now to both teams, 30 points on literature. From what 20th century novels are the following opening lines taken? Here's the first one for 10 points. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. John Duffy, UTS?
The 13 Clocks by Thurber?
No. This is from 1984 by George Orwell. Here is the next one for 10 points. This is the first line of a novel. If you really want to hear about it, Jeff Nankerville, UTS?
Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye is right, yes. And the last one, in my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Franklin Young, York Mills?
The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz.
No. UTS, Jeff Nankerville?
Heart of Darkness.
No, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Oh, dear. Okay.
Close.
All right, we have a 4-part question on pets of famous people. Which mad Roman emperor attempted to make his horse, Jeff Nankerville, UTS?
Caligula.
Caligula, that is right. In Citatus, he wanted to make him a consul. When Robert Browning first went to visit Daniel
Flush.
Simon York Mills,
Flush.
yes. Elizabeth's Cocker Spaniel Flush bit him. For 10 points, for her 14th birthday, MGM gave Elizabeth Taylor the horse which was her co-star, Franklin Young, York Mills?
National Velvet.
National Velvet is right for 10 points. Although one would think that it is Snoopy, Spike is actually the name of a pet canine. Rachel Barney, UTS?
Charles Schultz.
Charles Schultz, that is right, owned by the cartoonist Charles Schultz. Well, with our score UTS in the lead, 165 points, York Mills 105. We'll be back right after this commercial break. Don't go away.